All right, we're back live. What happened was my internet for some reason cut in a very pivotal point. Sorry, apologies to Leroy Kong on that. Is what it is. If you want to join still, you can join. I know it's very late in the night. We're talking strategy. So just wanted to mention some of the strategies that we can implement when we're talking about restoring the Snyderverse at this time. It's a key time where um, Snyderverse, um, you know, it's a key time when Snyderverse can be restored because Warner Brothers need money. DC's not firing at any cylinders this year, and we find that we're in a unique situation where there's a strike, so not many movies can be made. Upcoming DC slates can pause. Everything's paused right now, so this is a perfect time to release the Snyder Cut into theaters and cinemas because there are not going to be many DC films that can actually be released into theaters and cinemas. You know, even though Blue Beetle is coming around. So what's the strategy anyway? The strategy is, like I said, things like SnyderCon, competitions online, interviewing cast of the original Zack Snyder team. So guys like Ray Fisher, definitely we might be able to get also Darkseid, Ray Porter. Um, it might be harder to get people like the actor who played Steppenwolf, um, Gal Gadot, because she might be involved in other projects, but you never know. Press your luck. Jason Momoa. Somehow, if we can round up some of these people just to do a little stream or something, even Henry Cavill. Now, some of these people are going to be hard to get, and some of these people are going to be easier to get. So, also Jay Oliver, he's always open to interviews. So all of these people it would be great to have all these people on board. Uh, don't worry, Leroy. What happened was my internet cut. My internet just suddenly cut on me in the middle of the thought process, and that's why it all froze up and I lost everything. And just a minute ago, it came back. When you're in a third world country, these things happen. So basically, getting interviews with the cast again. It depends. There are different people who already have links to these people. Some people, their channels have actually interviewed them before. But it'll be great. Ray Fisher, of course, with the upcoming Rebel Moon projects. The fire, the intensity, the interest in also some upcoming Snyderverse projects. So these kinds of things we could just talk, discuss it with them. Maybe even get Chris Terrio on there. I know these all busy people, but still, if you can, we can get some of those people in, SnyderCon. Again, making noise, SnyderCon, all these kinds of things, activities, coordinating online, whether it's TikTok, whatever. Of course, I'll do my part to do short little bits, little short bits on YouTube. I'll get that done. So this is what you need to do. A strategy. The strategy is mainly those kinds of things. We have to have fun while we campaign for what we want. Buying up paraphernalia that has to do with the Snyderverse. So from the action figures to paraphernalia like books, T-shirts, and of course, in interest of raising money for AFSP. All of these things would be very beneficial and very good. So, talking strategy, that's what we should be doing through the next couple of months. Is all these activities, raising money again for suicide prevention. Excuse me. Okay, and just constantly just keeping the energy alive. Hero of Logic says Zack Snyder. Yes, sir. Zack Snyder, indeed. So these are the kinds of things we can do. Again, let me just repeat. Hashtags, release the Snyder Cut in theaters and IMAX, cinemas and IMAX. Should be something we should be sending to Warner Brother Pictures, particularly appealing to Abdi and DeLuca. And of course, afterwards, we're also looking at release the air cut, which is a very important hashtag as well. These are the two movies that we can get. Well, one we can get in the strike, and one we can get probably after the strike, because these are two movies that are completed. The next thing we need to do is, how do we do these strategies? How do we implement these strategies? Again, through hashtags, through um, events. So whether it's competitions, uh, whether it's cosplay competitions, whether it's art competitions, whether it's music competitions, whether it's plays or drama competitions. Short, I see very talented Snyder Cut fans who are able to even do CG animation of and even creating alternate stories. So you know, we have some very talented, very skilled people out here, and we should really utilize that. A little Snyder Cut. Yeah, my internet is just shit right now, so you're gonna have to excuse it. So I'm coming and going, but yes, uh, we have these competitions. Just have ongoing stuff. Keep it going. If we want to, we can have wider DC competition. So for the DC fans out there who are interested in DC in general, why not have your own little DC SnyderCon? We know we have the San Diego Comic Con. We have all those other things out there as well. But you can have your own. Excuse me for yawning. You can have your own little event, your little own little con as well going there. But by and large, what I'm saying is hype it up for Rebel Moon. We want to hype up things for Rebel Moon. We want to interview some of the staff. We want to interview some of the cast and crew. We could even interview some of the cast and crew for Rebel Moon. Why? Who says that a YouTuber can't do it, or somebody in Twitter? And multiple ways now to interview people. There's short formats and there's long formats to things, right? So we can do all of those things, and really have a good time while doing this, because sometimes, you know, you can get very negative, sometimes you can get very aggressive, sometimes you can be very impolite and crass to people. And by getting yourself involved in these activities, having a good old time, you can actually send some positive energy instead of negative energy on the internet. Shout out to the Alita movement. They have gotten, I believe they already apprehended a sequel to Alita. It looks like we will get two sequels to Alita Battle Angel. So kudos to them. They triumphed. And I think we're not that far behind. I think we're going to get what we want, but it's just we need to constantly always be persistent about it. And also we need to be intentional about it. So I think this is the general strategy. The general strategy is still the hashtag strategy. Um, oh, there's one more thing we have to do is we should continue to boycott DC films. Boycott. I guess we're gonna boycott anyway. I boycott everything that's Warner Brothers right now. So I'm boycotting everything. I don't care. Once it says Warner Brothers on it, I'm boycotting it. So I think the boycott campaign has been very successful so far. I think we should continue with that. I don't think GA is going to be buying into the stuff unless we're excited, and you know, if fans are excited about something, the general audience gets excited as well, because they know they look to fans to authenticate something. So you know, we have a lot of clout, we have a lot to say. I hope you guys will continue to do those things. So I'm going to repeat it one more time. Okay. One, we are pushing for release the Snyder Cut into theaters and cinemas. Two, we're looking to push the Ayer Cut into cinemas. Yes, there's the Batfleck movie. That's important. Haven't been made. So we're not really emphasizing on that, even though we want to restore the Snyderverse. So we want to focus on the things that are tangible, the things that are really doable. Snyder Cut can go into cinemas. Snyder Cut can go into cinemas. So that's what we should be focused on. That can happen this year, right? It's the climate is such that it can happen. The Ayer Cut, that can happen probably next year or whenever the strike ends, or it may be a combination of things that allow for the Ayer Cut to happen. But whatever happens, the Ayer Cut's next. Once those two things are out of the way, even though we're doing hashtags, make the Batfleck movie and all of these other things, and Zack Snyder sequels and stuff, and restore the Snyderverse, understand that it's still about getting the 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 doable ones first. So you have to have that priority. Hero of Logic says you don't even need to boycott Law. The movies are bad now, so no one will watch it regardless. It's still a boycott, though. We have to boycott. So I think that's a good thing that we're doing, and just not buying anything from WB. You see the Barbie movie, it's managed to get past that, but we needed to starve them out. No movie's supposed to make any profit. That's what we're supposed to. That's the goal. You want to starve them out. Let the stock fall, 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 fall. So you have to sell, sell, sell. That's what you really want to do. But anyway, back to what I say. So Snyder cons, art events, art exhibitions, raise money for AFSP. Keep on raising money for suicide prevention. It's a very good thing you're doing there, people. So keep it up. And also have your streams and videos on the movies and keep them going, keep them in the public eye, keep people realizing how good these movies are and what's so great about them, and keep on talking about them. It's where your passion is really that really gets people behind your passion. So once people really get interested in what you're doing, you can't go wrong from there. But you have to get people interested in what you're doing. Shout out to Hero of Logic for coming through as well. Leroy Kong for coming through. Hero of Logic says, I think maybe the air cut has a higher likelihood to happen if the writer's strike continues since it's already written. Usually when there's strikes like this, they check the backlog. The problem with the Hero of Logic is this, my friend, that that movie still needs hired labor, which means the people striking right now, they're striking for conditions to be improved, the actors and the writers. The problem with it is David Ayer may need some of the actors to come back and do some reshoots. David Ayer may need to or additional photography, or you may even need special effects crews and special effects people to come and finish off the special effects post. So those people are not going to come out in the strike. You understand? So the Snyder cut is the most feasible thing here. It's not the Ayer cut. Snyder cut. Snyder cut's already been seen. The Snyder cut has been put into IMAX. It just hasn't been done on a global scale, and that's something they need to push. Warner Bros. Needs to push the Snyder cut, and that can come out in October, November, right? And right after that, you can have Rebel Moon. So I think that the best goal right now is to get the Snyder cut into cinemas. It's a finished product. You don't need to have cast and crew for that. You don't need to pay anybody to do anything. It's done, right? So put the Snyder cut out there. The money that was lost on the Flash, you're going to gain back some of that money because the Snyder cut's going to make money. It's a highly demanded thing, but we have to show the demand. We have to keep on pushing and speaking directly about that, and then the Ayer cut could come after the strike. I believe it'll, unless they can do something within the strike. I don't know, but after the strike would be better. With respect to a couple other things, so one of the things, if you're a DC fan now, if you're a DC fan, if you're not a Snyder fan, if you're a DC fan, this is what you can do. So by now, if you're a DC fan, you should realize that the Snyder Cut fans and the Snyder fans, the DC Snyder fans, we've never been against you. We just wanted to see justice served, and we wanted to make sure the directors were actually getting their visions on the screen. This was the bottom line behind this movement to start with. Started with Zack Snyder, but obviously we have also David Ayer, who's gotten a short change of the thing, and he's spoken about it. Now, I'm pretty sure other people, James Wan right now, he's in a pickle because he's in that situation right now. I'm pretty sure Andy Muschietti, he got that kind of treatment as well. His movie was changed up multiple times. And this has been happening rapidly because the whole address behind Zack Snyder's movie has not translated to the other directors, whether it be Patty Jenkins on Wonder Woman 84, whether it be James Wan currently with Aquaman 2, whether it's Andy Muschietti with The Flash 2, whether it's even well, he won't speak about it, but James Wan with Aquaman, the first Aquaman movie. You know, I'm not saying anything about Shazam. I don't know what happened with Shazam, but when it comes to even Birds of Prey, the director for Birds of Prey, you know, I know these people were taken advantage of. I know these people didn't get to really put the vision down that they really wanted to put down. They were compromised. And I'm sure there were notes from the studio and Walter Amada and all these people putting notes in there. I want to say that this has gone on far too long. Warner Bros. Once upon a time used to take pride in the fact, under Greg Silverman, under John, whatever his name is, who left the company. Under those people, Warner Bros. Used to be a company that allowed the directors to give their vision, put it on the screen, and then they would promote it. It's not so anymore. The company, especially people who don't know anything about filmmaking, are making notes. Jeff Johns does not know anything about filmmaking. He's not a filmmaker. What Jeff Johns is a writer for comic books. And every time these writers for comic books insert themselves into the position of executives telling people how to film this and how to film that, that's where they overstep their bounds. Jeff Johns was jealous of Zack Snyder and he overstepped his bounds. So all I'm saying is this. We have to put that in check. We as the fans have to put that in check. We want unique stories. We want interesting stories. We don't want the same formulaic nonsense. We don't want to see corporate meddling in our movies. And that's the bottom line. So if you're a DC fan, you want to know that the director that's directing the movie is putting his own touch, his own taste, his own kind of way of doing things into the movie. So then we could say this director lives and dies by what he's put. We don't want to know this studio interference. And we know this studio interference into a lot of these movies that came along so far. Hero of Logic says, you're right. Jeff Johns was a great comic book writer, but he makes mistakes as a producer. Yes, he oversteps his boundary. You don't see people like Frank Miller telling people what they should do and how this scene should go. You're a comic book writer, but you don't see him overstepping his bounds and telling people what to do. You don't even see the great Stan Lee overstepping his bounds and telling directors what to do. But Jeff Johns does that. And he's been doing it for years. And he's not been successful at doing it because he's not a filmmaker. You're not a filmmaker, Jeff Johns. You're a comic book writer. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. And that's where he oversteps his bounds. He's not supposed to be writing movies. You're not a movie writer. What you are is a comic book writer. People will come to get resources and to know about the comic books from you. You're not supposed to tell people and try and convince people. You're just. So yeah, my internet keeps on coming and going. So my internet just went again. So I don't want to curse, but I do want to curse. You know, but like I said before, the important thing here is not that. Important thing here is to see directors' visions, what they live and die by their vision. Okay, there are certain processes you have to go through, screenings or whatever. But at the end of the day, the director should live and die by their visions, not be compromised. No matter what their vision is. If you don't like it, then don't hire them. So yeah, that is what we're about. So DC fans should understand that and appreciate that. We want you to enjoy DC. We want the brand to be something. We want the merchandising to be something, right? The other thing we should do as DC, as Snyder fans, is buy up all the things that Zack Snyder did. Well, we will always do that anyway, but the DVDs, the Blu-rays, the action figures, that kind of thing. We should look into showing that there's a demand for it constantly. Um, and for the DC fans out there, now you see we're on your side. We've always been on your side, and by now you see your brand is going to hell, and the DC brand is going into the tubes. This thing is the DC animated arm. Yeah, we're coming and going. I know the internet is shitty right now. It's a pile of shit, but we'll just hang in there and see what we can do. Yeah, so the DC brand is in the tubes right now, but what we have to do is we as fans need to I was basically having an idea and it just disappeared, but we as fans, we have to, as DC fans, that is, we have to support DC by ensuring that changes happen, ensuring the change, because these are bad. What's happening to DC right now is a bad thing. It's not helping the brand at all, right? Flops don't help the brand, and if every single film flops that's DC this year, the brand's taking a tremendous toll on itself, and it's just it can't go worse than what we're seeing so far. So what we have to do as fans to boost the brand is we as fans have to keep on asking for certain things. We are talking about restoring the Snyderverse. For DC fans out there, you just want to have decent direction and a decent DC film. I mean, coming out this year. This is why if you support the Snyder Cut coming out, it's going to be a good thing because it'll be a blessing because um it actually might be the only DC film that's the light at the end of the tunnel that actually makes a profit some way somehow for DC. So those of you who are DC fans who enjoyed the Snyder Cut, you really could support that and make sure that DC gets on top. There's Blue Beetle coming around the corner. Those of you who say this is what you want for DC, you better support the Blue Beetle movie. If it comes up short again, that's on you. But as for us, oh, you can do that though. Good for you. I'm not in that. I'm not with that. Right. With respect to the Snyder Cut, that's what I'm looking for. I'm focusing on trying to get the Snyder Cut into theaters. You can do the same thing. Hero of Logic says Blue Beetle disrespected Batman. I can't let them do that to my boy. Exactly. I feel the same way. I think I turned off a lot of Batman fans. Any fan of Batman would not want to see. But I agree with you, bro. He just, Blue Beetle, disrespected Batman. That's why I'm not interested. I wasn't interested in Blue Beetle to start with, you know. Um, and thank God they're not putting out Booster Gold there. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, they work together, as you know, DC. But you know, I mean, you're taking a side character and dissing a major character. DC's been built on Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. That's what DC's built on. And you're gonna just disrespect one of the Trinity just like that? You don't do that. You don't disrespect the Trinity. Certain directors went out of their way to make sure they respected the characters. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, right? David Ayer, he respected Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Zack Snyder respected Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins, as much as she had a crappy Wonder Woman 84 movie, she respected Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. The rest of the directors, David Sandberg, first Shazam movie, respected Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But the rest of the directors have not been respecting them. James Gunn has been continuously mocking them and slandering them. We've had the Flash movie that came out. Justice League 2017, Franco Man, disrespected Wonder Woman, disrespected Batman. You look at All for Jokes. You look at the Flash movie, disrespected Batman, right? I mean, if you're going to do that, if you're going to have a joke fest at the expense of the Trinity, the founding members of the Justice League, then guess what? You're not going to get me to watch it. You're not going to get me to watch it, and you're not going to get a lot of people to watch it. So it's on you. I mean, Shazam flopped for a number of reasons. One of them was, you serious? You gonna put a feminist body? On top of that, you have the audacity to try to make the black man look like he was a monkey. Come on, man. That's disrespectful, man. And they've been very disrespectful to these major characters, racist, and all in the name of jokes. I'm not into that. You know what I mean? I'm not into that. Um, I like DC movies where even if your movie is funny, because Shazam's gonna be a funny movie. Shazam's a funny character. Blue Beetle will be not Blue Beetle. Booster Gold will be a funny movie. I'm not saying you can't have laughs, but be respectful while you're having your laughs. You know what I mean? And these are not major characters. These are B level, C level characters. So we're not trying to build DC off of C level and B level characters. We're trying to build DC off of the major characters and then build off of them. And I just don't get it, man. These guys. Anyway, I'm not here to throw a rant. So my point is, if you're a DC fan and you want to at least see DC standard go up a bit, no matter what you think of Zack Snyder, if Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out there and redeems DC by people going to the theater seeing it, even though they've seen it before, but to see it in theaters, people going to the theaters to see it, it makes money and it does well, that will help the brand. Might even boost Aquaman at the end of the year. So Aquaman, regardless of what, people might go see Aquaman because of that. Because, once a movie does well, it causes a ripple effect. It helps another movie do well or better than it would normally do. So we should push for releasing Snyder Cut into theaters. We should also remind people of why we want the Snyderverse restored. Recap the history, recap good movies, good things about the movies, and do it across social media. So that's basically what I have. There's one more thing I wanted to say. Guys, give me your top 10 DC movies. Your top 10 DC movies out of all the DC movies you've seen. There's about 38 DC movies, and then there's also movies from affiliates that DC has bought over, like Wildstorm, and so on. So you can check that out. V for Vendetta, for example, is a affiliate of DC that's now under DC. So you can check that out, see what movies you like. I know some people are going to instantaneously say like Watchmen, is a great one. V for Vendetta, The Dark Knight. I know some of y'all are going to mention those guys, but you should also, if I were you guys, I would go back and try and get every single movie that was DC, regardless of whether it was with Warner Brothers or not, and just look at all these live action movies, because it's very interesting when you start looking at the earliest live action DC movies. Excuse me for a second. The earliest live action DC movies, you'll be able to see and know the history and know what transpired as well. So I just say dive into it. And you can find some of these things online, and some of them you will have to go searching for. But that's what I got for you guys. So let me recap everything really nice and cool. The scripture was talking about people who are not using their positions of judgment and power rightfully, but they're using it to endorse evil, beware of that. And in the climate that we have, the climate inside of what we're trying to do is one in which the creators are being oppressed and the fans are not getting what they want. As a result of that, we're proposing that something that can happen in this environment while there's a freeze is Zack Snyder's Justice League being put into cinemas. The strategy for that to happen is using the hashtag and mentioning a time. I say month of October, November. In addition, we can have competitions like we had before. We can have a SnyderCon. We can have interviews of people, cast and crew of the Snyderverse, whether it's the Wonder Woman movie, interview Patty Jenkins, interview Rick Famuyiwa if you want. I don't know if you'll be available, but whatever. Joe Manganiello, I'm pretty sure, what's his name? The guy who played Joker would be interested in having an interview. If we can get Christopher Nolan, get Christopher Nolan. I know he's a busy guy, but nonetheless, just all these people surrounding Charles Roven, if we can get him, just all those people that are associated around making of the movies in the Snyderverse. And then, just getting them on board. Ray Porter should be somebody we can get. So that's what I'm talking about. Jay Oliver, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So that's the strategy. That's the game plan. I would always say again, I just wanted to make sure I mention this point before I close. When you're making your requests and concerns, send it to WB Pictures, because we have allies in WB, in Abdi and DeLuca. They're reasonable, rational-minded people. That's what I mean by ally. And they would listen to us. And I do truly believe that through them, we might be able to get at least the Snyder Cut into cinemas this year. So that's what we're pushing for. I hope that everybody's on the same page. I know some people are talking about release the Ayer cut. Some people are talking about make the Batfleck movie. Some people are talking about Henry Cavill as Superman. We're talking about the Zack Snyder Justice League sequels. But those things are pie in the sky for now, because Warner Bros. Doesn't have the kind of money to do that, one. And two, we have a strike going on. So the Restore the Snyderverse is seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League into theaters, and hopefully it does well in theaters. And if it does, then we're looking at a sequel. Then we can look at the Ayer cut. Then we can look at other options, make the Batfleck movie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the perfect, I think, ideal climate for Zack Snyder's Justice League to drop in cinemas. So that's what I got for you guys. I am Christ, I am Disciple. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. And we had some little breaks and little setbacks because of the internet. I couldn't do anything about that. Being in a third world country, sometimes that happens. I'm gonna catch you guys later, though. Y'all have a blessed night. This was the second part of a two-part part. Leroy Kong, thank you for coming through. Let me just give thanks to the people, Hero of Logic, for participating in the chat, and Leroy Kong for being a guest on this and also participant in the chat. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I know it's very late in the night. You all have a peaceful night. I will be doing shorts to summarize what I said in the stream. So if you're a person who's strapped for time, I'll try and do some shorts, and they'll be great. Trust me, they'll be nice. I know how to do them, and you guys will be okay. You know, my shorts are like 15 seconds. Some of them are like a minute. Some of them are like 30 seconds. So this was an elaborate and long stream, but I'll get it all stripped down into its basic elements in shorts. So stay tuned for the shorts. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Christ I am Disciple. Peace.